Let's see, what do we got first? Oh.
This new hero is a real gem.
Are they signing it off immediately?
Introducing Volume 3 of the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Expansion Pass DLC.
Masha.
What now?
Oh, hello. Oh,
Say
a what?
hello to Masha, the newest hero, and a refined
Masha.
lapidarist.
A
She can use
lapidarist.
special ore to
Ooh.
craft accessories that can bestow various effects. Challenge battles with roguelike elements are also being
Oh,
added.
new challenge mode.
Select
Huh?
only one character and battle wave after wave of enemies.
Ooh.
For every win, you'll earn more heroes and special abilities.
Whoa.
Rack up
Really?
victories with your heroes and set your sights on the final stage. You might also
Oh,
get
that looks
special in-game
hype.
outfits as a reward. And coming in Volume 4 later this year.
No.
Tell me
Oh,
why!
this.
Is this really what you want? Nothing's gonna get through to him. He's a heartless machine.
Yo, that looks so good.
Volume 3 of the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Expansion Pass launches on Nintendo Switch February 16th.
So what you just witnessed was all of the Xenoblade 3 content we got from the recent Nintendo Direct, and oh boy, did we get a lot. Far more than I ever expected. Not only did we get details on the new hero and challenge mode, which looks crazy good I might add, but a teaser for Wave 4 of the DLC. Well, all of the debate about the DLC story being a prequel or a sequel can finally come to an end, right? But enough with all the blabbing. Let's get right into the breakdown. The start of the Direct brings us the reveal of the second DLC hero. This is Masha, a healer who is also a lapidarist, someone who sharpens stones and other materials into decorative items. This translates over into Xenoblade 3, with her being able to craft new accessories through us exchanging the material known as Enigmata. Each accessory we craft will possess a random effect, with a random strength, but we can choose the type of accessory that we want to craft, based on the classes of attacker, defender, and healer. This probably means that we'll have to grind to get the exact accessories we want, but I spy a little recycling option at the top here, so we should be able to exchange accessories we don't want back for more Enigmata. When it comes to combat, nothing was shown specifically in the Direct, but thanks to Twitter, we can grasp a general idea of her playstyle. Her class, known as Jewelmeister, is a healer specifically, but it maintains an offensive presence. This is primarily through her class's gimmick, which is whenever she lands a critical hit on the enemy, she heals all nearby allies. Going from the Japanese trailer, I also managed to translate her hero order, which is to boost the critical rate during a chain attack by X%, which is admittedly pretty good. We assume she's going to be a Kavesi due to Ino previously being an Agnian class, but it's a little hard to tell in the screenshot we received. That then brings us on to the new challenge mode, which will be known as Archsage's Gauntlet. In this game mode, we will start by selecting one of the party members with whatever class they have equipped, and fight against waves of enemies whilst purchasing extra heroes and perks to help us survive. We do this through obtaining ether cubes, which, as far as I can tell, are simply dropped and automatically acquired when you defeat enemies, as well as possibly performing driver combos like in Xenoblade 2. Furthermore, there are also independent modifiers to increase the amount of ether cubes you receive from enemies, two of which have been spotted so far. One is through simply surviving wave after wave, which is what I believe this no KO bonus is, and the other is through emblems, which we'll get to in a moment. Onto the shop now, and there's a lot to break down on this screen. It appears that at the end of each wave, we can purchase either new heroes to join the fight alongside us, or emblems to empower our existing party. Your first of each also appears to be completely free, but afterwards, these will begin to cost the ether cubes that you acquired during the combat phase. Each hero also has a bit of information about them, as well as what reactions and debuffs they can inflict. That said, it's unclear at this time if these heroes possess just the same accessories and arts that we can equip them with normally, which would definitely dampen their overall strength, but we'll have to wait and see to make sure. As some of the more astute of you have probably noticed by this point, there are also certain bonuses for recruiting heroes, so it may be a viable strategy to obtain your 7 heroes as soon as possible, allowing you to spend all that dough on powerful emblems that you encounter later. There is also this bonus for something called the Nop Watch, which I believe to be this bar on the UI. From what I've been able to tell, this bar naturally goes down over time, possibly acting like a time limit to prevent any campy strategies, and when we fill or overflow it, we receive a bonus, encouraging a fast style of play where we still defeat all of the enemies as quickly as possible. There is also a shuffle option, which presumably swaps the items for new ones for a cost, as well as a pricing option, which I have no idea what that'll do. This then brings us onto the emblems, which seem to function like passive buffs. Their overall effects seem quite vast, with the one on screen boosting the amount of ether cubes we receive based on how many Kevesi heroes we choose, and another increasing debuff success rate at the cost of shorter overall debuff times. Each effect visually being shown through the icons shown on the emblem. Unlike heroes, there is no apparent limit to the amount of emblems we can purchase, so it might be very possible to obtain a large amount of emblems by the end of the challenge. When it comes to the combat, everything appears to work the exact same in terms of chain attacks and the such, with the only exception being Ouroboros. Because we don't have 2 party members and thus 2 people to form an interlink, the Ouroboros button has been replaced with what looks to be a second talent art button, likely unique to each party member. I think these charge up the same way as normal, with attackers getting directionals, healers laying down field effects, and defenders, well, defending. What is new, however, is that this ability appears to power up the longer you charge it, indicated by these lights we see on the side here. I assume that simply charging up for longer increases the duration of the specific effect, but we'll have to wait and see to make sure for certain. That just leaves one last thing to talk about when it comes to the challenge mode, and that is this piece of UI. Gonna be honest, not entirely sure what this does, but my best guess is that these are an item you can purchase from the Nopon beforehand, which gives you a free continue if you end up falling in battle. But to know for certain, we shall have to wait and see. Moving on, we then get to see some of the new cosmetics coming with Wave 3, which are all of the Nostalgia outfits, giving each party member a cosmetic option from a character in the previous games. I have to give Monolith some credit though, that these costumes are really nicely designed, and I really hope that we get some more like this in the future. We're all still waiting for M's Mobius outfit, Takahashi. You're probably already aware of what each outfit is a reference to, but just in case, Noah's outfit is a reference to Shulk, Lan's is a reference to Rhine, and Uni is a reference to Melia's future connected outfit. On the Agnian side, Mio is a reference to her mother, Nia, in her Blade outfit specifically, Senna is a reference to Brigid, and Tyon is a reference to Jin. I have to say, this last one in particular looks absolutely fire, and I can't wait to equip this one in game. Okay, enough foreplay, let's get into the bit everyone's waiting for, the Wave 4 DLC teaser, which immediately kicks off with a major reveal. Elvis, he is back, looking funky as ever, except with a few fancy updates. Specifically, him wielding the original base Monado from Xenoblade 1, and the godly light wings that he has around him. Additionally, he's floating in front of a huge rift that is very much akin to the one that we saw in Future Connected, in that it looks exactly the same, finally making that extra story relevant. That said, a minor difference this time around, however, is that large quantities of the black fog can be seen exiting from it, confirming our speculations that it comes from the other side. This then leads us onto the next scene, which is just as hype, showing the return of Shulk with an updated Monado EX+. Once again, Monolith has done a great job of polishing up these characters, and their new designs and weapons look great, feet. But if that wasn't enough, the very next scene, we get to see our beloved Giga Chad Rex, all grown up. The addition of stubble with the new futuristic look on the Aegis swords makes him look great also, and I honestly can't wait to see both of these guys in game. In addition, thanks to the camera angle, we can see that this interaction appears to take place inside or on top of Origin. We get one glimpse of this scene from behind before getting a nice close-up on Alvis's face, revealing clearly that his core crystal is glowing. But what does this mean? Well, nothing good in my opinion. I and others I have since spoken to believe that this might not actually be Alvis, due to all of the things I've pointed out thus far. Alvis's core crystal doesn't normally glow, and it shouldn't need to, as Alvis is a stage above a standard Aegis. Additionally, the Monado he is wielding belong to Zanza, and put simply, Alvis shouldn't have it. Like at all. This leads me and the others to believe that Alvis is being controlled by some third party, possibly Mobius creating Console, or maybe someone else we're yet to meet. But at present, I believe this to be the case. Going back to Rex for a moment, he also says something that I find quite peculiar.
Nothing's gonna get through to him. He's a heartless machine.
Firstly, this feels very out of character for Rex, who was prior to this event incredibly empathetic to Malos, who had killed hundreds of people, some of which were especially close to him, like Vandam. So for him to utter these words seems like a step backwards. If that wasn't enough, this also loosely relays back onto Pyra and Mithra, who are supposed to be his wives, which is pretty heartless himself when you think about it. I'm assuming that the audio here has been spliced together, and this line comes from elsewhere. Otherwise, I'm not sure how I'll feel about Rex in this DLC. That said, everything we've seen thus far, I believe, will all be included in the prologue. So those of you who are worried that Nintendo just dropped some massive spoilers can be at ease. At the very least, Rex and Shulk are not injured like their memorials mentioned, meaning that it's yet to come. So I don't believe that any major spoilers have been shown thus far, other than the returning characters. The trailer then continues with us getting our first glance at the new area for the DLC story. This game appears to still be taking place inside of Ionios, judging from Morardane's hand in the distance, and what appears to be Agnes Castle at the very top of the screen, but this time with even more area to explore. Based on the positioning of these two landmarks, primarily Morardane's hand, I believe that this new area will be located somewhere over the Great Void, where Origin is present in Xenoblade 3. If we look at the hand from inside of Origin, we can see that the positioning roughly lines up with what we see in the trailer, so our assumption about there being more land earlier in Ionios seems to be correct. Somewhere else in particular that really catches my eye is this area down here, which resembles a now broken Colony 9. I think we can make out the dock that part of the Xenoblade 1 epilogue took place on, as well as an anti-air ether cannon. So considering that Colony 9 was the one area I was looking forward to the most, I am absolutely stoked. Zooming in a bit closer, we start to get a better look at the terrain, as well as the landmark Ragwell Bridge, which appears to have seen better days, now being unmaintained with holes present. No more Juju racing his buggy down it, I guess. Something else noteworthy is the return of Best Girl, Territorial Rotbart, who I believe we can see on this ledge here, likely explaining why he isn't present in Xenoblade 3. Lastly, just to clarify something I've seen a lot already, no, this isn't the Bionis Lego Gower Plain. The terrain layout is completely different, and there are none of those arching overhangs typical of that area. So whilst it incorporates aspects from that area, it isn't specifically it. Then, to finish off this teaser, we get our first look at the new protagonist, named Fei Fong Wong, I mean Vandam, the founder, summoning his Ouroboros power. This does work differently, however, than in Xenoblade 3, as he doesn't use it to interlink. Instead, the power seems to erupt out of him and act as this ethereal body instead, so we'll have a lot to learn about the nuances of this power. Going back to Vandam though now, it's also clear to us that he is wielding the same style of gauntlets that Noah uses when drawing Lucky 7, so maybe we're finally going to get an explanation as to how he can block literal laser beams from a Pharaonis. He also states the line, "Like killing Grandad wasn't enough for you," which to me is a rather strange thing to say. This is mainly due to who we currently believe the founder of Vandam to be at present, but it isn't clear whether this is his literal granddad or someone who he simply looked up to as one, so I think we'll have to put this one on the bench for now. Either way, this trailer and DLC has got me so hyped, and I am now so excited to see what they uncover in the next trailer. But with all that covered, that was everything that I was able to uncover from the recent Direct. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, I'd appreciate it if you'd click that subscribe button and notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest Xenoblade 3 news. Once more though, I thank you all for watching and hope to catch you in the next one. Peace out, guys.